Shep, they said it couldn't be done.
What, San Jose getting a win?
Now that you mention it, that one too, but I was talking about the Confederations Cup. We'll talk about that and more next on Extra Time. Hey everybody, welcome to Extra Time. I'm Jason, the producer. With us as always, Shep Messing, and today we have Greg Lawless on the line from South Africa. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? I miss you guys, man.
Yeah, South Africa. Greg, give us your impressions of a crazy week for the U.S. team.
It has been an up and down week for the U.S., obviously. And you know what? Ultimately, in a tournament like this, you have to play all three games. Egypt started complaining that they were tired in game 3, but it's a group match. The whole point of it is to get out of the group and get into the knockout rounds. And yes, the luck fell to the U.S. It was incredible that Italy would lose to Brazil 3-0, but ultimately they got through, and that's really all that matters.
Greg, next up for the U.S., the #1 team in the world, Spain. What's the outlook for the U.S. in that game?
Well, to be honest, not very good, is it? I mean, Spain has won 15 games in a row, and the U.S. is, coming off of a win against Egypt and a pretty demoralizing loss to Brazil. I just got back from the Spanish press conference before the game, and they looked loose and comfortable and confident. They said all the right things about how the U.S. has some dangerous players, particularly in the attack. The coach for Spain pointed out Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey as two people, and he even brought up Charlie Davies as a guy he didn't know but had obviously some speed that could cause some problems. But let's be honest. I mean, Xavi and Albert Riera and Sergio Ramos and those guys, they're not exactly shaking in their cleats right now.
Greg, obviously against Egypt, Bob Bradley had to gamble, play an attack-minded lineup. My favorite guy, I thought, had a great game, Landon Donovan, that give and go up and down the field, racing in to deliver the ball to Michael Bradley. I thought Landon was great, but tactically, how do you think the U.S. will change against Spain?
Well, actually, when they came out against Brazil, they played this 4-1-4-1. And that's actually how it was explained to everyone in the media. That's what they were playing. And I hope they learned their lesson in the Brazil game that just doesn't work, And so my hope is that they come out and do the same thing that they did against Egypt. They've got to take advantage of the speed of Charlie Davies, I think, and the strength of Josie Altidore up top to hold on to the ball. I also think that against Egypt, everyone's saying, well, Egypt's not as strong as Brazil and Italy. And I'd say, okay, fine, I agree with that. But the insertion or the reinsertion of Ricardo Clark into the midfield, I think makes a big difference for that team. He's not perfect, but he does a lot of hard work, which allows Michael Bradley to then push forward into the attack a little bit, to apply a little more pressure forward. And I think that makes a huge difference. So if they have any chance against Xavi and Iniesta, I think that they need to be smart about where they're going to apply pressure. And I would tactically come out with another 4-4-2. I'd start the same 11, only swapping out the goalkeepers.
Well, Greg, one last question. What are the U.S. players and coaching staff, what are they saying now? Well, actually, Michael Bradley went off on the media a little bit the other day and said, everyone back in the U.S. who was screaming about it, what they're saying now is all the right things. That they worked hard and they've always had sort of a program on the inside, and all the stuff on the outside is going to be there, and they're going to talk, and the media is going to criticize and things like that. But you have to just put it away and continue what you're doing. So they're saying all the right things. And, it's the usual, Spain is very good, and, it's going to be a very challenging match. So they're not really saying anything very interesting, to be perfectly honest. But,
Greg, quick thought. We're watching on television. You're down there in anticipation of the World Cup there next year. Tell us about the atmosphere. You're right there at the stadium.
The atmosphere, I think, has been great. I mean, obviously the vuvuzelas are making all that noise, and people are complaining about them, but at the same time, that's the way it is in South Africa, and that's the way, the fans here celebrate the game, and I think that should be embraced by everyone instead of complaining. No offense, but soccer is not just Spain, Italy, and England, and it's not done that way everywhere in the world. So, get over yourselves, and this is how they play, and Africa has produced many, many good players. So deal with the noise. In terms of the atmosphere, the people are really excited. Everyone here is very nice. There are some organizational issues, I think, that they still need to iron out. But otherwise, I think they've been pretty happy with the way things have gone so far.
All right, well, they got a year to iron them out, Greg. Thanks a lot for calling in, Greg. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
You got it. Enjoy, guys.
See you, pal.
Around.
That game, again, is tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN. Shep, what's your take?
I'm really excited about this game. Is the U.S. a better team than Spain? No. Do they have better individual players? No. Can they compete and maybe steal a game? Absolutely, but they're going to be under pressure. They cannot afford to give Spain in general, Iniesta, Xavi, time on the ball, or they'll get picked apart. But I think the U.S. will be fired up. I think they'll pressure the ball, and I think they'll compete.
Yeah, and let's hope that's a lesson from the Italy game where they were kind of backing off the players and gave up those long goals. Same stuff that could happen against Spain. That's all the time we have for you today. Tomorrow we're going to look at Freddie Montero heating up in the West and a logjam in the Eastern Conference. See you then.